We are now streaming live on YouTube. It says preparing stream, but we're here at the beginning of it. So, hey, everybody who's watching, rewatching, because if you're, oh, now we're live, actually. Oh, gosh. What's up, man?
What's going on, dude?
I can't fake that we both have been sitting here talking for the last 30 minutes, but
Oh, that's okay.
uh, it's good to be testing this out, like, so people can actually see it. Oh, there it is. All right. So once you pull it up, just go ahead and click on it and you'll be able to see questions and stuff, people talking. And the chat pops up on the right side. 6 viewers right now. Hey, everybody. So glad you're here. David and I
Man,
just wanted
I'm trying to
to.
figure out where you're seeing that. Go ahead and talk to them. But
Oh, yeah, yeah. Sorry. We are going live just to test the system out. Austin said, "Hey, Chad, what's up, Austin?" Oh, yeah, Austin is doing a stages on it, or has done it already. I haven't seen pictures, Austin. Let me see that.
oh, that's cool.
Chris said, "Hey." Michael said, "Hi." What's up, Michael? Um, yeah, it's under manage, and then you click on the live stream, and you'll be able to see the chat. Love said hello. Greetings, good sirs. So we're doing kind of a live Q&A, but unannounced. So
Yeah,
if you're here, you can just hang out with us. Let me put it on this view. I'm going to put it on gallery view so you can see both of us. But yeah, man, what do you want to talk about?
man, we could talk about anything. I want to know, do they have any questions? Um,
Yes. Yeah,
Sort
I'll
of
get to it.
curious,
Oh,
you
are
know?
you using ATEM mini or what is that?
Yeah, you're right. ATEM Mini.
What is that? Sorry, talk about it.
Hey, Zingeli 79. What's going on?
What is that?
What is what?
ATEM mini?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. I could look it up real quick.
Yeah. He asked if you're using that. I don't know. We
Oh,
are. I don't know what that is.
how long
A
have you
lot of
been
you. Go ahead.
playing, bro? I've been playing since I was 14 and I'm 29, so that's 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually just made a little video of how long I was playing the other day, how I got started.
Yeah. That's on your other channel, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because you didn't send it to me.
Oh no, yeah. No, I did it for my channel and really for my website so people could
Yeah.
know know the process for why I make the courses I make and how I teach the way I teach. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't sang on the channel in a while because we stopped doing pre-recording. And when we were doing pre-recording, I can like go back and fix stuff if I needed to. uh, but we are doing complete live stream at our church, College Park Church in Greenville, South Carolina, and I'll be on this week. Last week was really good. Hey, do you have this in your office or in your studio? Hold on.
what? Love
I don't
as
know what it is.
apologetic says I'm the fellow.
Do you
I
have this?
I do have it. Yeah, I could
Where
go
is
grab
it?
it right now. I'm gonna
Yeah,
do that.
he was asked, or he or she. I'm sorry. I don't. Um, they were asking if I sing because they were commenting earlier that they liked when I sang on the channel. Uh, oh, video switcher for Black Magic. No, yeah, I obviously I'm not using that because I didn't even know what you're talking about. I for live stream I use right now. Our church is using Sling Studio. Can you share your church's page in the stream? Yeah.
See, we
Okay.
have the same guitar or the same
Yeah,
bass.
same base. Yeah. Hold it up a little bit. Let me see it. I missed that one.
You do.
Should we tell this story? Let's
You
just tell this story.
you did. You see what I did here? Have you actually seen what I did?
No, I haven't seen what you did like officially.
Yeah. Yeah,
What'd you
you
do?
can tell this. You can tell the
You want
story.
me to tell the story? It does have
Yeah.
more to do with me, I guess.
Yeah.
So, all right. So the story on the so he was at the ATEM Mini is the Black Magic switcher that a lot of people are using right now. I should have known that, but no, we're not using that. We're using Sling Studio, and that's on our church page. And we only live stream. Where are you going? We only live stream to Facebook right now, but Restream reached out. Oh, by the way, David, I don't know if I told you about this, but Restream reached out, Restream.io, And I'm going to be making a couple videos on how to use Restream and go into both Facebook, YouTube, wherever else you want to go live at your church. Pretty cool.
That's cool.
And let's see, can you share your? Oh yeah, I will do that in a minute. But yeah, so the story on the bass is the other bass that Davin just had. I don't know why he put it up, but
It's so
but
bulky. I got so much stuff in this
yeah,
area. That's
I
why.
know. So I bought that bass. That was the first bass I bought, the one that Davin just had. So it's very similar to this one. And I bought it because it was like the first bass I could buy. And I needed one. I thought I needed one. I didn't really need one. I needed another one. And when I was in the gospel choir at Lee University, EVS, Evangelistic Singers, represent both of
Yep.
us. And so I was the bass player for that. And I bought the bass. I toured with it for yeah, pretty much. Yeah, my whole first year, maybe a little bit after. Then I bought a 5 string, and I wanted to get married a couple years later, and I needed a down payment on the engagement ring. So I asked Davin. I was like, Davin, you know, do you is I know you've been interested in this bass before. Is that something? And so yeah, he bought the bass from me, and then I was able to do the down payment on the
Yep.
engagement ring for my wife. So
Mhm.
just this year, our offices at my church got broken into. The first bass I ever owned got stolen. Two other guitars got stolen. And I went looking for those online just maybe a week later. And I found this one and I bought it. I had to buy it because it was the exact model, everything as the one that I sold David. So now both of us have one. He did some updates on that one. And then I have this one just to think about. And I actually sent him a picture of it with my wife's engagement ring sitting right here and said, look, now I got both
Yeah.
full circle. And that was
Yeah.
10 years. Yeah, 11 years ago.
That
10
was
years
that
ago
long
this year.
ago? Whoa.
That was 10 years ago. Yep.
We've known each other for that long? Or longer than
We
that?
have. Yeah, we've known
In
each other for about
2008, that's
13 years now.
it's
Yeah.
12 years.
12 or 13 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Dang. Time has
Yeah,
flown.
man. It has
I'm
flown.
about to be I'm about to be 30 and I was I
Yes,
was
you are.
I was 18. I was 17. Dang. That was a while ago. Man. Cool. Well, what's
Yeah,
going
man.
on with you other than
Well,
reeling it?
I just told them when you were putting your base up that Restream reached out, so we're going to be doing some videos about Restream
Oh yeah,
and all of that.
I saw you said that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then somebody was talking about Restream has been great for them. So yeah, I used it one time before, and they yeah, I don't even know why they reached out, but they did. So
No, that's
we're
cool.
gonna be looking into that for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Dave
hey
from
guy,
Nigeria, go ahead.
let me go ahead and remind you. Feel free to ask us questions. We're just out here really chilling. Oh man,
Yeah, just hanging out.
I hit my arm against my chair and I felt it in my finger. It
Yeah,
was the
it's a funny
strangest
bone.
thing. Davin, do you give piano lessons online? That's a very good question.
That's a
Tomorrow,
great question.
I got a workshop going on, and if you go, oh man, I hurt my. I'm gonna put the link in the chat section, but I actually have piano courses, and you can also get my piano courses at my website. I'm gonna put the link for the workshop in the chat. But
Go
yeah,
for it.
I do teach piano lessons, and hope you can make it out to the workshop tomorrow.
Yeah. And uh, do you guys do choir at your churches? If so, how has COVID changed what that looks like? So Davin actually does a choir at his church. I don't. We just have a worship team, 8-person worship team. Well, 8 on stage. But yeah, talk about it, Davin. What? How has that changed since March for you guys?
Well, that's a long answer question, but because we have multiple choirs. So I'm responsible for student choir, which is like s- this year we'll probably have about 50 to 60 students. And then we have a main like worship center choir that's roughly 200 people. With that choir, they've had to reduce it down to I think about I think they've reduced it down to first it was 50, I believe, and I think it went up to
Mhm.
75. So I think they're at 75 or something like that right now, just to have ample space. And then in terms of students, we're actually rehearsing online with Zoom. It's you know, it's the best we can do for now. We want to keep our kids safe. We don't really want anything breaking out among our students. So as soon as our
Yeah.
church leadership feels like it's safe enough for us to rehearse, probably with some adjustments in the way we rehearse, then we'll probably start meeting back on campus. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. But it has
Yeah.
certainly changed the way our choirs are meeting.
Yeah. They used to could just spit all over each other, but now they can't. uh, thank you, Rylan, for that question. I don't. Is that how you say it, Rylan? We don't have choir at our church, and not because we don't like choirs. I love choirs. I had choir my internship church and my first church after that. And but yeah, it's not something we do. Um, but
Do you ever miss it?
then I definitely miss it. But I don't know. You know what? That's one thing we thought about. Like, okay, we can introduce the choir for different big events, but now it's like, well, we're not going to worry about it right now, um,
Yeah.
especially the way it is. There's the link
It,
to Davin's not live stream. What is it called?
this is
Workshop
my
tomorrow.
piano workshop. Tomorrow we're talking about
Piano
chord
workshop.
substitutions at 10 a.m. Central, and
Yeah.
it's free. And then, yeah, so looking forward to that. Excited about it. I haven't talked about chord substitutions in a long time. I actually was going through videos on the channel, and I
Hmm.
was like, I think I only have one chord substitution video out there.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah, yeah,
so, and so I've decided, okay, in my next series, probably after the next one, I'm going to reintroduce some chord substitution ideas. My next series is going to be
yeah.
about rhythm. I barely have anything about rhythm.
The series you're currently in, we should have a video on tomorrow, um, by the way. But the series you're currently in about licks is really good. So the first one came out last week, early last week. So go check that out. Um, yeah, but the second one in that series should come out tomorrow. So somebody asked, let's see, Brian asked about our church is about to transition and running tracks. What is your option of loop community or multi tracks? Cost, preference, all that stuff. Yes, I actually want to make a video about it. Have wanted to make a video about this for like 2 years. I've been kind of changing my mind left and right about that kind
That's
of
a
stuff.
very
But
good question, by the way.
yeah, we use Loop Community Prime app,
Really?
and yep, you didn't know that?
I knew I did. I
Oh,
did.
okay,
It's back of my mind
because
somewhere.
yeah. So anyway, we use Loop Community. We really like it. We actually run it. Our bass player has always been not that specific person, but just the bass player himself has always been the guy to run. So if I have a new bass player, I just train them how to run Loop Community. We have the on the bass pedal board. I should have. No, I don't have time to go get it. We have the iPad and the little Looptimus Mini. It's like that big, and we can switch between songs and stop and start and all that stuff. It's pretty cool. And then, but yeah, they're getting better and better. Loop Community, I love them. Not a sponsor whatsoever, but they're incredible and they bring out good stuff. Um, but the first thing though is if you're gonna start running tracks, this is like a little mini tutorial about doing this is definitely start with a click first, and you can do that free on the Loop Community app. If you go ahead and download that, you can drop clicks in there and set them at different tempos, and you can change or transition to the different tempos as you need to throughout your set. Just start with a click. Make sure you're running good in ears for everybody, whether it's like an Avion P16 wireless in ears. Just make sure everybody's suited up with that and ready to go. You could also just use an app for your click, but that's the biggest deal because that's going to be the biggest transition is just using a click if you don't already. And then if you already are using a click, just do it on one song. Use the track on one song. Take out everything that's already on the stage, meaning on the tracks that I get from Loop Community, they'll have almost every instrument plus some, and I take out everything that's on the stage. I don't even ask. I just take them out because I don't want to somebody to feel like they can just be replaced by a track, which is just simply not true. We are
Mm.
So like for example, this week we have 5 songs and we're using a track on one song, but we're using click on everything else. And that's just the way we are because we like to flow in and out of songs, back and forth between songs, things like that. Because I like a lot of our songs within any given set to be in the same key or have already transition or yeah had those transitions in mind prepared ready to go to change keys. But I like to have a very structured but loose set at the same time, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, loop community is the way to go. I like multi tracks too. I use them one time as far as like their
You
whatever
said
their
one
app's
time?
called. I've used it one time. Their app, I can't even remember the name of it, but yeah, they've always just kind of looked better than Loop Community, but Loop Community is in my opinion, my personal opinion, just I love them. They're so personal. They bring out everything. They have patches, not patches. They probably have patches too. Anyway, they have sounds for all your different keyboard stuff. They have I don't know. I'm butchering the advertisement right now, but
Yeah. So I
thankfully
know
they're not
you're
a
a fan
sponsor.
of Loop Community, and I like Loop Community too. I actually
Yeah.
remember buying a track from them earlier this year. Um, I like the options that you get with them. So you get like you can get you can listen to multiple tracks from different people, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's people, there's a community track
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. I used to buy community tracks all the time, but
So
some of some of them
I,
are not ready by the time.
I use more multi tracks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we do. And I learned something recently with multi tracks is that many of the tracks they actually have the vocal files for you to practice with.
A lot of them have it for Loop Community too now.
I couldn't find them on Loop Community. Or
Oh,
maybe I need to
really?
go back and look. Yeah.
They're built in within a lot of the tracks, especially the master track. Like when you're buying a track that's directly from the the person themselves. Look, we look like we're looking two different directions. I'm
Oh,
looking this
really?
direction. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
Anyway, but yeah. So what app is? What's that app called for people to know for multi
For
tracks?
multi tracks, it's what is it? I don't know.
Playback? No,
Yeah,
that's not.
playback. Love
Is
it.
it
So
playback?
easy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is, man, it is wonderful. I'll use playback.
Okay.
I love it.
If you're wondering, I'm playing with one of these little Velcro strips. Sorry,
Okay,
had to take it
some
off
let's
the
see
table.
what other questions we had.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do. Yeah. Lots going through. Let's see here.
Do you use a specific key when playing your songs?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good question. I know that sounds vague, but for me, yeah, my answer to that is depending on the set. A lot of times we typically playback. Yeah, yeah. Somebody just said it. We typically um, build the set. We have a 3 song set, sometimes 4, but we build at least the last 2 songs to be in the same key. That's just the way I like to do it personally, and the reason why is so that way the transition, just the full thing, because we don't go a song and then stop and just silence and then we start another song. Like we flow straight through. Sometimes from as soon as the countdown ends, and by the time worship time ends, 25 minutes later or so, however long it goes, like it's just consistent. Yeah, there's dynamics in there, of course, but it's one consistent set, and that's just the way we like it. So if we do a key change, we like to transition that. Otherwise, if we don't have to do a key change, then I'll keep the songs in the set the same key. But that does not mean that I'll just choose a random song to go with another song that's in the same key. It has to go with that set, spiritually, as far as the lyrics and those kinds of things. And the set, we build the set, of course, around um, its own idea or around like what the series is about and things like that. So
Okay, I
yeah, I
got to
like to go ahead.
Oh, I was saying I need to make a correction. I said I get the vocal tracks from Loop Community. That's not true. I get them from Praise Charts. Praise Charts also has the stems and whatnot. But
They
yeah,
have
sorry about
individual
that.
vocal stems.
Yeah, they like the not the vocal stems, the vocal practice tracks. So like it
Okay,
has it
I
for
got you.
soprano, for alto, for tenor, and for
Yeah.
bass if you need that as well. So sorry about that. That was a very good question.
Yeah, that was. Um, but going back to key as far, and then as far as the actual key that we do the song in, I spend. I'm gonna try to make this clear. I spend about 40% of my key choosing is based on like who is going to be singing the song, like who I'm leading it to, and then the other 60% is who is actually leading the song, whether it's me or another vocalist. We want to. I put more emphasis on can the vocalist sing this really well, than I do worrying about if the congregation can. Because if you're 100% worried about what the congregation can do, then just go take a poll in your church this Sunday. Say, hey, what song or what key do you sing this song in? Half the time they're going to look at you and be like, what? So just keep that in mind. But I did just recently prepare for a women's conference, and I did my one of my biggest things was the keys that I sing these songs in. I want to make sure that those women are going to be able to sing and sing loud and proud and be able to have a good time of worship in that. So that was very important as far as the keys that I chose for that. And then I even went up to our pastor's wife and a couple other people with social media and stuff. They were here that day, and I played through a few songs of the set and just made sure that that was going to be something they can sing. We were doing I was trying to plan Graves in the Gardens with another song, and I was like, "Can you sing this? Does this feel good to you as far as the key and whatnot?" And so that was important to me in that context. But anyway,
Cool. Let's
uh,
see. What
yeah,
else we got
somebody did
here?
ask. Austin asked, "Where do you find your vocal track on multi tracks?" And you kind of
That's
clarified
why.
that.
There was a
Yeah,
guy before him. He said, "Do either of y'all have an MD on stage using a talkback, or do you just rely on the guide cues? What's y'all opinion of having an MD?"
we did. Yeah, so Davin, both of us were MDs in college that were, and had very pretty heavy jobs, and we were. What was really cool is Davin was the MD kind of after me. We won't count Marcus. Marcus, we love you, but we won't count you.
He was right between us. We got to count him.
Yeah, yeah, we got to give him a hard time. We're not counting you. So yeah, Marcus was after me, and then Davin took the reins from there. But MDs are so incredibly important. I tried, man. I've been working on this. It almost seems like for 7 years at my church, and we've had some different people that actually be able to do this really well, and some people have no clue. Now, I do leave the stem on that does give the vocal cues when we do use that. But a lot of times, I do try to rely on somebody in our team. But man, I a good MD is somebody that knows the songs up and down, left and right, can sing every part. By sing every part, I mean every musician's part and vocal part. I mean
Mhm.
they're gonna know for the most part what the drum should sound like. If they're not a drummer, they should be able to at least say, all right, the drums are doing something like this in this section or this. So those are good MDs. Those are like just regular bar level. You know what I'm saying? Like good. Now
Yeah,
the
yeah.
great MDs are the ones that could actually play everything if they needed to, but they're going to be able
Yeah.
to cue and be able to almost somehow telepathically, is that the right word, know what the worship leader wants to do in those
Hmm.
moments. And it's so incredibly important, um, that the worship leader and the MD have a good relationship, because the MD could totally derail what's happening spiritually if they don't, or musically and spiritually in the room, what's going on.
Yeah.
And
I've been thinking about the. Oh,
yeah,
go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, no, I'm pretty much done. I want to hear you.
Oh, okay. I was saying I've been thinking about this a lot because I've only recently got into tracks within the last year. So before that, I was like thinking like, an MD gives the cues, they tell us where to go, they put new chord changes on the fly. They're making sure everybody's in the right part. Nobody's,
Yeah,
crowding one another. Um,
right.
and then we started using backing tracks, and I was like, oh my gosh, all the cues are on here. So I was like, what good does
But
the MD serve? So
no,
I think
yeah, keep going.
for certain styles of music, you still need an MD. So for example, like let's say your church may use a track, but then at times they don't. I think an MD is very crucial especially for those times when you're not using a track.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
MDs are typically going to be the ones to run the loops and stuff, whether it be Ableton, Loop Community, multi tracks, all that kind of stuff. They're
yeah,
the ones that are
exactly.
typically going to do that. But our I just have our bass player do it. It's just the way we've done it for a long time.
Hmm. I think it
Um,
also depends on how large your band is. So our church still technically has we don't call him an MD, but we do have somebody that is responsible for running loops, making sure the choir's in the right spot for the orchestra and all that. And he's man, he is needed. He's make like let's say the entire group gets off the loop, right? Which rarely happens, but it has happened. Well, who's gonna start directing things, you know?
yeah,
So he kind of fills in that role, and so yeah, not kind of. He really does a good job in
yeah.
that role. So I certainly think MDs are valuable.
MDs are incredibly valuable, and in churches and other places too. But churches are the ones that can't afford it are willing to pay for that,
Hmm.
because they understand the value of an MD. Um, yeah, I think we say okay, MDs are going to know the songs in and out, and we want to rely. We want to be able to have somebody that does know the cues and does know what's coming next and can read the room and can read the worship leader and all that
Hmm.
stuff. But let's be honest, man. If you're coming as a musician to play music with your worship team, whether it be coming to a rehearsal or coming to Sunday morning, I'm sorry, we have an expectation. You've got to know the music too.
Hmm.
You've got to know what's next, whether or not somebody's queuing or not. I mean, we got to a point. I mean, I didn't have to cue every single verse, chord. I mean, a lot of our songs in EBS were through composed for the most part, and I didn't have to cue everything because we knew the songs up and
Yeah,
down,
yeah,
left and
yeah,
right,
yeah,
and that's the way it is for the most part here where I am now. It's taken some time to get to that point, but when they come on Thursday, they're
yeah,
expected to know their stuff, and guess what? They're volunteers. But they're expected to know their stuff because we have one what I call a crash through, and then we have like a quick break. But the break, they're on stage, we're talking about stuff, we're fixing things, and then we go through the full set, full production, everything,
yeah,
um, as if it's Sunday morning, and that includes what I say at the very top of the service, whether it's a video, whether it's an opening statement, prayer, scripture. It includes all that stuff in our rehearsal, so they have to be ready.
yeah.
Um,
I think
so yeah,
MDs are important, especially for rehearsal purposes. So,
yeah,
like, who's going to tell the guitar player, hey, man, you need to chill out there? Who's going to tell the drummer, hey, make sure that you're lined up with the bass player? You need a leader for the rhythm
mm-hmm.
section or the instrumentalist, right? So, I think MDs are necessary. And if your church can afford it, even a part time MD, you should get one. And I trust me, that will improve the quality of your music
Yeah,
um, rather quickly.
that's right. Um, yeah, they're important. Somebody's asking. There's some other good questions coming through. Any advice? Oh, well, hold on. There's one before that. I'm sorry. Uh, Shoot, where'd it go? Anybody remember getting tracks back in the day on? I don't even know. I don't. I didn't start using tracks until 2014, I think. Any advice for somebody getting an electric guitarist in their church worship team? Oh, starting as an electric guitarist. Um, do you, I think your name Elliot G. Do you guys currently have an electric guitarist and you want to get started as an electric? I don't know. It's really hard to answer that. I would just say any advice for someone. Do you know what he's talking about,
Any advice
Davin?
for someone wanting to start as an electric guitarist in their church? Yeah, I see what
In
you
their church
mean.
worship team.
It would, or worship team, the church
Yeah.
worship team.
If
I
you're the
certainly,
electric guitarist and you want to start and you currently don't have an electric guitarist, find out if they want an electric guitarist. And the way you do that is you bug the heck out of the worship leader. The people that do the most and get the most out of what we do here are the ones that bug the crap out of me.
yeah.
And they're always here. Our one of our bass players, current bass players, he started playing bass last October. He was on stage within a month. And you know how he did that? He came to the church and bothered me no matter what I was doing. I will stop what I'm doing to play the bass. Do you realize that, David? I don't care what I'm doing. I'll be like, all right, it's the one thing that you can distract me with because I love to
Yeah.
play the bass. And so yeah, and I will say any instrument can be a MD, by the way. Even drummers can be MDs. I'm pretty
That's true. That
I'm
is
pretty
very
big on
true.
that. I'm pretty big on that because I was a bass player as an MD in a gospel choir, and that's kind of a big deal as far as like typically those are keyboardists that are doing those jobs, like Davin
Yeah.
did after me. So
Yeah. The truth is, the MD doesn't have to play keys, like, which is very typical, but they
yeah,
do need to have like a functional understanding of how everything is supposed to work.
yeah.
So I
It was
think
cool
that
being a
that's
bass
actually a very
player.
big one.
Sorry, it was cool being a bass player because I really got to learn so much more about everything else because I didn't, if I was hearing something and I played it on the bass, right, I didn't necessarily know exactly what the keyboardist would play, but I got to learn that. And we had a
Mhm.
couple good keyboardists when I was in that were able to, help me. Like, I'll be, all right, well, I'm here. All right, here's the root, but I'm also hearing this, this, this. And then they'd be like, oh, yeah, that's a whatever. And then they'd play it and I'd be like, no, that's not what I'm hearing. And then I was able to learn that. So then the next time I was hearing that same, chord change or whatever, I knew what I was talking about, and that just built me so much as a musician, being the MD as a bass player. Um, but yeah, anyway, we can get off that. I get excited talking about MDs. I've been wanting to make a series about it or some sort of video about it, but
Yeah, you did say actually you did have one in planned.
I
Yeah.
did have one in the plan, but that required me traveling, and that didn't. That all just that was March, and that all
Oh,
just
okay, I see.
yeah got
What
plowed
are
over by
some I see another
some.
question here.
Yeah, go ahead.
What are some responsibilities you had at one point as the worship pastor that you have successfully given away to volunteers? That's a very good question.
Such a good question. Wow, go ahead.
Oh, you let me go first?
Yeah, go for it. Of course.
Well, worship pastor at my first church, I had to do everything. Make pro presenter, um, set up the instruments for Sunday if I had to do some of that. Any
Are you
repairs that
praying right
needed.
now?
No,
It
I'm
looks
just
like you're.
thinking it through. I'm a
It looks
visual
like.
guy, so I this
Yeah,
was a
you just.
while ago.
That's what my prayers look like. Dear God, will you give me somebody too?
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da.
Yeah,
Sorry.
just keeping track. So all the
Mm,
administrative tasks, so uploading all of the files for the songs that we would have to learn. I would record a lot of the vocal parts myself, or I'd bring in
yeah,
somebody to do all of that. And so what else? Just trying to think things through rather quickly. Printing off all the sheet music. I mean, all of these little small tasks add up, right?
they do.
And then at my last church before First Baptist, I was able to delegate that. I had an assistant, and he took um, he did a lot of the printing of the sheet music for me, which we had a choir there, so that required a lot more printing of the sheet music, and then organizing it, putting it in binders, and all of that stuff. That's little simple things. We taught students. We had a little small little piano school or whatever, up to
Yeah,
13 kids I think at one point, and he would teach and I would teach. Right, that's more delegating responsibilities. Um, he, he would run the choir for me, or run rehearsals for me when I couldn't be there. So that was something.
yeah,
At First Baptist, and somebody there would volunteer, would actually make the pro presenters um, slides and all of that.
yeah,
Let's see, First Baptist. Uh, all of that, a lot more administrative tasks gets regulated to somebody else. And then I also don't do whatever I can buy, I try to buy. So I don't make vocal practice files if I don't need to. I go and buy those things. Um,
I know it
yeah,
helps.
yeah, helps
Yeah,
big.
so yeah, and successfully is a good way to put that because now no if you're reading that sorry, I'm getting my thoughts together as I'm talking, but if you're reading that as okay, I've successfully given this away and now I don't ever have to do that, that's really going to require, in my opinion, really going to require paying somebody because I have successfully, for the most part, given things away to other people to do, but of course they're volunteers, and if that volunteer doesn't show up or just doesn't do any or isn't able to be there, then those things just don't get done. So I kind of have to. I've sort of switched a lot of that to an intern, um, that can make sure that if that person doesn't do it, if that is, then that intern can kind of handle some of that weight of responsibility of like, okay, oh, I got to do that, because that person's not going to be here, and then that leaves me to be able to do some other stuff. But the I think one of the biggest things, like what David was saying, was pro presenter, because that person can come in with enough time, right before your rehearsal, and get things ready, um, for that service. If you have ideas of what you want that thing, what you want that to look like, and templates and themes and whatever else, you can kind of relay that to that person, and they can sort of handle that and make that their baby, so in a sense. Then when they get there on Sunday morning, if they don't have all the sermon stuff, typically, I mean, at least for us, we have plenty of time to put all that in place on a Sunday morning, and the volunteers do that. I don't ever really ever have to touch it. Um, and it's great. Another thing is lighting. We use the MPC software by Martin. A lot of that's sold to another company, but it still all kind of exists out there if you want to look into that. But I have a guy that actually is transitioning out of volunteering on a Sunday to Sunday basis, but he's still going to come in and make the light shows, and then our volunteers on Sundays will just run those shows, um, for the songs. So I've in a sense successfully kind of given that to him to make his own, showed him how to do everything with that software, and he's just kind of taken it and ran. um, so yeah, ProPresenter lighting, I don't have to do that anymore, which is great. Now, of course, if that person were to leave or something were to happen to them, of course I can just hop on there and do what I got to do, um, to get it ready. But otherwise, I might just slide in some other shows from other songs that he's made and just let other volunteers press buttons. Um, so yeah, it requires intentional time with that person, in my experience, um, to be able to trust them with that, and so they know what you want to see out of that, and just time. Yeah, sorry, just time. It requires a lot of time with that person. Um, and of
Yeah,
course,
you
if you
said
have an
something.
intern, go ahead.
I was just saying, you said something that was crucial. You said successfully give over to a volunteer. I thought that was, you're right. It's very hard to say you've permanently given something to a volunteer. I
Yeah,
think it's,
it still falls on you.
yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
When they can't make it because their child is sick or something, it does fall on you. First is with a paid person, that person then becomes responsible for finding a volunteer to
Mm-hmm.
take over that spot, right? Or somebody to take over that
Yeah.
spot when they're
Oh,
paid.
yeah. Especially, if
So,
somebody's paid
so
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, and you gotta build a trust with them. They trust you. You trust them. And it does sometimes require like letting them mess up a little bit here and there. And okay, you may think of these things when you walk in. Worship leaders probably have a list of 100 or more things that have to be checked off for a service to go right. And the more of those things you can kind of delegate to other people, of course, the more
Hmm.
less stress you have. But see, the volunteers, your typical volunteers, are not walking in with that list of things in their mind that where things need to be checked off. And so you've really got to start learning how to build a system to start giving them some of that weight. And so what I've done for this, and I'm going to talk about this soon on the channel, but what I've done is I've created checklists for all of those positions. And these are actual physical checklists on a, well, it's bigger paper than that, like really nicely made, that where they can go just like somebody that, or just like a pilot. When a private pilot flies a plane, they're going to walk around that plane and they're going to check off their checklist every time, whether they have 10,000 hours or whether they have 100 hours. They're going to do that checklist no matter what. And that is crucial, especially now with a lot of live streaming and things that we have to do now with the church. Is what can I give that person, and how am I going to give that person that same responsibility, that weight of responsibility on those things? And it's those checklists really help with that, because they can just start checking things off. Well, they don't physically check it, but They read, okay, have I done this? It's not how to run lighting. It's the checklist of making sure everything is going to be in place for you to run that lighting console successfully or do live streaming successfully. Um, we got a thumbs up, so that means I'm good. I don't have to say anymore. Thanks, Simon. But yeah, checklist or help. And then eventually you'll have those ride or die people that are just going to be there no matter what, and you can start handing them responsibility, and they'll just make it happen. And you'll wake up the next day and be like, I didn't touch live streaming today, and it happened, and it was perfect.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
touch lighting today. I don't even remember checking ProPresenter, but the scriptures were up there and they were perfect.
Yeah.
Like the once you
Rylan, I
get to
wanted
that
to
point,
say
yeah, go ahead.
that's one of my biggest challenges is, and not that I don't have the people there to facilitate it, and not that they're not ready. It's me thinking through how how do I give them this responsibility permanently,
Yeah,
not just today? Like, how do
I
I
read
make
it.
sure you are responsible for this? That's one of my challenges. I'm not. I realize I'm not the best delegator, and I'm working at becoming a better delegator. I'm kind of the person that well, if I know how to do it and I could do it fast, I'm going to do it myself. But
It's
you can't
hard.
do that for everything.
Yeah, you can't do that for everything, and it's hard to delegate when you're at a new when you are at a new church,
Hmm.
when you personally are the new guy, because you a you don't know who can do what, and b you're just kind of like, okay, this needs to be done, so I'll just go ahead and do it. You kind of have this subconscious sort of saying, all right, you need to work hard so that you can prove your existence at that church.
Yeah.
But me, I don't, I've been in my church 7 years now, which is crazy. And how is that possible? I'm only 17. No, no, I'm
Started
kidding.
when you were 10.
What's that?
You started when you were 10.
Yeah, I started when I was 10 for sure. No, but I've been here longer, and people, I don't know. It's just that whole relationship thing is so important with that. But sometimes
Hmm.
you need those button pushing robots. Sometimes you need it. You got to have those people, because I mean, that's just how it is sometimes. But the more you spend with more time you spend with that person, the relationship that builds with that person, you can start relying on that robot to start making decisions for themselves and look around and be like, okay, oh, this is not right. They
Yeah.
become aware, like, oh, the screen is black. Why is the screen black? Whereas that other robot pushing button person, they see the screen black and they're like, okay, well, I guess that's just the way. They call me Pastor Chad. I guess that's just the way he wants it. No, that's not. I don't want the screen to be solid blue. That means something is wrong.
Yeah.
Fix it, and they do. And so you go through a process of like,
So
these are the problems.
it's funny you said that. We did have a training session with our students, like probably, you know, about my second month into the job. 30 kids, because we a lot of our students run the ministry, AV and equipment, and play in the bands and whatnot. And we had to teach them, hey, we made problems, and then we had to teach them, you have to say something, because a
Yeah,
lot of times they would know a problem was there, but they would
yeah,
just keep quiet. So
yeah,
we
yeah,
were
yeah. They
like
do.
teaching them, okay, you see that there's a problem, have you said anything about it, right?
Yeah,
And so for some reason it does take a while to click, like especially if you're new to something, you know there's a problem, I should say something. So
yeah.
yeah.
I start those conversations if they do ask me about it. I always start with, what have you already done? And then if they're like, well, nothing. Okay, well, go do something. The screen is blue. What have you already done? Uh, well, they might be like, well, all right, so I've checked all the inputs and everything's plugged in. Okay, what else? And so we start tracing that back,
Hmm.
and because we actually we want a black screen when we turn everything on, don't we? On ProPresenter, we want to see black, not blue. So I'm like, all right, let's get it back. Let's start figuring this out. But let's start with what's happening, and then let's trace it back. Like, okay, why is there no internet in the church right now? Well, let's start. Are the routers on and are they working? Okay, let's trace that back. And I have to do some of that stuff here too. And so we trace it back, and it may not be as big of a deal, But if we're trying to go all the way back and start unplugging stuff, like sometimes, man, volunteers are the worst about unplugging stuff. I'm like, if it worked yesterday plugged in, don't you think we can get it to work today plugged in? And what I mean are like HDMI inputs and stuff like that, not the power. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, why are you unplugging HDMI input when it worked yesterday? We'll teach through that. We'll be like, okay, yesterday it worked plugged in, so we're just going to leave it plugged in. Let's trace that back. If that's not working, let's trace that back to something else. And it's just that process, just like Simon said in his comment just a second ago. The relationship was so key with him um, and his worship pastor. So I think that's the way I read it. But yeah, it's just that relationship and not blowing up when stuff like this happens. I used to do that. Man, I used to blow up, and that just does not work. People do not want to serve with you and stay with you if that's all
Yeah.
you're going to do is just blow up on them. And occasionally I still do, nowhere near as bad as I used to be. And you got to love them. They're volunteers. They're there helping you and helping the church as a whole. And yeah, I just try to love on people and just laugh about it. They're like, hey, by the way, the projector completely fell and it's just smashed to pieces. Are you serious? And they're like, oh, I didn't know that was going to be funny. Yeah, it's kind of hilarious. What have you done to kind of get a projector running for this Sunday? Nothing. Okay, we'll get to work. And then you just walk away and start doing your thing. And they're like, oh, okay, I guess I will. And I mean, that hadn't really happened to me, but the projector every Thanksgiving, if I go out of town, stops working. It could work all year except for that time, but I'm out of town. And so now the last time they knew exactly what to do because we went through a process. All right, that's
Mhm.
we spent a lot of time on that. The thing is intentional relationship with that person. It doesn't have to be a best buddy relationship. It doesn't have to be an intimate thing. It is just simply getting to know that person and know how they think, and how they learn.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, you might make some best friends out of that too.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to open it up for any more questions.
Yeah,
You okay
we
with
have
that?
maybe 10 minutes. Yeah,
Yeah. I don't even
let's
know if I
roll.
have 10 minutes, Chad. I got a meeting with a volunteer in a sec.
It'd
And
be all
yeah,
right.
I'm not like you. I can't I can't tell my volunteers like how you like. Ooh, I would be in some hot water. You get away
Yeah,
with a lot.
I might. I might.
Yeah.
But I see, but I love people though, and they know it. They know I love them, and we have a good time. It's really just about having fun. I mean, think about it. We're not doing brain surgery or heart surgery. If something goes wrong, it's nobody dies. Well, I guess, unless something fell on somebody.
Yeah.
But it's just not. There's no reason to blow up about things and get all crazy about things not working. You just gotta just work through it. And a lot of times, your problems are gonna happen on Sunday morning. And I
Hmm.
come in and I'm surprised when I'm like, so the projector's working, so the everything, you know, a lot of Sundays I'm like, okay, well, if everybody's kind of quiet nowadays and just everything's running smoothly, it'll be weird sometimes. And yeah, that's the way we want it. But anyway, I
Yeah.
don't that doesn't make any sense, but it does in my mind. So
Yeah.
yeah. Well, if there's no more questions, we'll probably just end it out here. Did we get everything though? I just want to make sure. You answered that. You don't use main stage. You use local sounds on your keyboards, right?
Yeah. Don't
Um,
trust computer sounds live. I've not arrived there. Won't do it.
I do use
Chad, you froze on me, and I'm not sure if that's me or what. Testing. Well, I'm not sure if it's just me here, but somebody asked the question, "Do you have mentors?" Um, yeah, I have I would say a couple of mentors. I got a lady who I consider to be my spiritual mother, and I call her often when I need spiritual advice. And then I have a guy in Dallas who works at DTS. Won't give out his full name, but he's kind of looked after me since since I arrived in Dallas, and so I really consider him a mentor. And his church is called Reunion Church here in Dallas, and man, his church is awesome. And so I would say go and check it out. One of the greatest multicultural churches I've ever been to. Well, since Chaz froze, I'll go ahead and end it out. If we don't have any more questions from you guys, I'd love to answer. Well, I'll close out with this. Tomorrow I'm having my piano workshop, and I look forward to seeing all of you guys there. The link is in the description. I'll put it right back here. Um, again, it's, I believe that's it. But yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, great worship leaders are always learning. I'll see you next time.